what could be more satisfying than books about books? Hey friends, I'm Courtney and welcome to the Incessant Bookworm. If you haven't watched it already, I suggest checking out my If You Like This, Read That video where I pair up and do book flights for some of my favorite books and ones that you may not have heard about. Also, if you want to check out more of my bookish content, check out my Twitter and Bookstagram accounts, as well as Facebook and Pinterest, where I'll link those below, and you will get more timely notifications and content throughout the week instead of waiting for these videos. All right, so I would love to have lit my fireplace because books about books are very cozy and comfy, but I'm down to my last log and I want to save it for like a really cold wintry night where I can curl up with some hot chocolate. So I apologize that this is not a very scenic look at my place, but I feel like the ambiance of pretending that there's a fireplace there might spark some more bookish fun. I've done a few blog posts about some of my favorite bookish books about books, but I thought I'd share some here since I just recently read some new ones and then got some in the mail that I'd like to share with you all. So the first one is By the Book by Amanda Sellet. So this I got from The Strand. So The Strand is a independent bookstore in New York City, and they did a lot of promo a few weeks ago about supporting indie bookstores, how it's struggling right now, not just them, but a lot of independent bookstores because of sales, of just like holiday sales and trying to get those up because that's one of their biggest times of the year, and I wanted to support them. So this is one of the books that I got from them. This has been on my wish list for a while because just look at that cover. It just looks cute and very inviting, and of course it has book in the title, so naturally I was already intrigued. So this follows the character of Mary, who just started at a new high school where she's trying to find her place, find friends. The women or the people that she knew before coming to this school kind of give her the snub and not really interact with her because they've kind of moved on and try to get their popularity, and she's just apparently getting in the way. But she loves reading and has all this knowledge about books, and she overhears these popular girls in the store talking about this guy that they like want to get him to ask one of them out and all that, and Mary makes this like audible like sigh or gasp, and she's asked to further explain like what that was about, and she connects this guy to Vronsky, which is the kind of like player in Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. So from there she kind of gives her expertise of books and experiences with like kind of like the bad guys or the bad boys, like the bad boys, not bad good boys, and the girlfriends kind of like take her under their wing and want to introduce her into like society, or like a coming out like debutantes used to do. I think they still do that, I'm not really sure, but because they know she hasn't had a normal high school experience before, so they want to broaden her mind but also get her experience with the books that she's read and how to connect them and make this grand manifesto of guys to watch out for at their school that relates to book characters that are not great in relationships. So yeah, I'm still reading this, so I'm about more than halfway done. Hopefully we'll finish this by the time this video comes to YouTube, but I'm loving it so far. It's fast-paced, it's fun, it's cute, it has a lot of cool bookish references in there, which how could you go wrong with that? Yeah, and I just love it so far, and I'm loving the different vibes that I'm getting with different book terms and like ones I haven't heard of but know like the premise of, so just based off what she was talking about. But yeah, I really like this. So book recommendation, book about books called By the Book. There you go. Next up is FanGirl by Rainbow Rowell, and this I heard about from my old boss who we worked with a lot of college students, and she was trying to understand like their psyche and like what an experience going to college nowadays would look like, and this was the book that she turned to and recommended to me as well. It is a YA or young adult contemporary fiction novel, but I love it. So it's about this young female character who's starting college, and she runs a fan fiction, not necessarily like site, but she writes a lot of fan fiction and is very well known as her like pseudonym would be known, but she herself is not like out and about telling people about it too much, but it's getting a lot of traction, and she is very like knee deep in this, doesn't really do anything else when she goes to college. Like, she wants to spend time with her characters that she's built from this fan fiction, but she's slowly getting outside her comfort zone. She meets some different people at college. But yeah, I like this in terms of book about books because she is writing her own book, and I believe she's also studying English Lit, if I remember correctly. If not, please correct me. But I just like it because it's about the writing experience when it comes to books, and she's just so passionate about it and just kind of flying under the radar, but is again like pretty famous in the fan fiction world. I cannot give enough hype for this book. So this is The Library Book by Susan Orlean. This is probably one of my favorite nonfiction ethnography books I've ever read. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Would definitely read this again. And I've recommended it on different podcast episodes I've been on to friends that I think would enjoy it. But it is, like I said, an ethnography of Susan Orlean going to Los Angeles, California, where there was a fire in a library many years ago, and she tries to figure out, not necessarily like what happened, that's part of it, but kind of getting the understanding of what a library community looks like in terms of its patrons, the surrounding community, the employees and staff there, what people think about libraries these days, and how we can benefit from them. And she just takes in all these great stories and narrations and personal narratives from all these people that she interacts with in the Los Angeles area, and then all over the US where libraries are like found, or like there's history behind them. And oh my god, I just love this so much. So a very I guess literal books about books story, but I just love because it is not based on real life. It is real. It's her account. It's the accounts of people that she interviews that have a passion for libraries and books, and I just love it. Next up is 84 Charing Cross Road by Helene Hanff, and this one I've talked about many times as well. Also a nonfiction book. So this is a compilation of letters and exchanges between a woman in New York City and a gentleman who runs a bookstore in London on Charing Cross Road. So they kind of go back and forth through snail mail, talking about recommendations, and it's a friendship. It's a beautiful friendship, which I absolutely love. Like, there's no expectations of a romantic relationship happening, so I like that even more, that there's no expectation there. But it's just cool to see that develop and that progress over the years across the Atlantic Ocean. So unfortunately, the gentleman passed away before they could meet in real life, but the female character, or Helene, actually gets to fly over to London and meet the staff and go to the bookstore itself, and the booksellers there all know about her because they are also in on the interactions, and they write some pieces in those letters as well. So yeah, a lot of cool book recommendations between the two, books being sent back and forth across the Atlantic, which I absolutely love, and just a cool story of letter writing and building community through books. Next up is The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George, and this is a book that I read in a day. And this, I can't remember if this was for a Dewey's 24-hour readathon or I just wanted to read it in a day, but it was that gripping and that amazing that I wanted to finish it in a day. Excuse me if you hear the beeping, that is my laundry that's going off, so let me get that real quick. Okay, laundry's done. We can continue. So anyway, this is about a gentleman who runs a bookshop on the water. So it's like, and I say water, I know, I'm not apologizing for it. That's the way that I say it and the way that I believe that it is supposed to be said. But anyway, it's a floating bookstore on the barge of the Seine in Paris, and he does a lot of book prescriptions. So recommending books based off what people are going through, and they share their life story. He kind of picks out books that will help them heal or just get a lot out of life that maybe they're missing out on, but they can get through these books. So I just love that because I want to be somebody that can prescribe books to people based off their moods or something that I appreciated and think they might, or just to get books in different people's hands and experience it a little bit differently or get a new perspective. So yes, absolutely love this. A great book about books. And last I have is I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogel, or Mine or Mrs. Darcy. So this, you can see lots of tabs. I've read this in a day, probably twice in one day if I wanted to. But this is also a nonfiction book where Anne takes us through different like stories through her life and through her family's life about the importance of reading and what that has added to them in terms of like value, where it comes to living next to a library for many years, and then when they moved away, how they kind of built their own library. And Anne's amazing. I've had the chance to meet her in person at Books by the Banks in Cincinnati, and then we did a podcast episode together. She's phenomenal, very knowledgeable, and this is just a little nugget of her reading life and what that looks like for her and how she finds meaning in books that she reads, how she shares that in a community, and what kind of practices she puts in to be able to read and enjoy that experience. So love it. And like I said, it's something that you can tab and find lots of nuggets of lessons and things that you can try out, and also you can be read in a day if you would like. Alrighty, so those are just a few of my favorite books about books. So I know there's plenty more out there, and please feel free to share them below, comment below with ones that you have read that you'd like me to read or want to share. I'll probably put together some more blog posts as I start building that library of books about books. And if you've read any of the ones that I've read, let me know what you think about those as well. But yeah, I just enjoy, I don't know, there's something comforting about reading books about books. Like just, I don't know, like something clicks, or you feel understood a little bit more, or even like the book that I'm kind of writing is about books itself, and I just get really excited, and I think about when I'm writing it like, oh, is that too cheesy? But after reading these books, I'm like, no, like everybody who's a reader for the most part like feels these same things, or knows what that feels like, or can imagine what that feels like, so I don't feel as guilty or as sappy in putting those kind of elements into the book that I'm writing. But yeah, I will continue to read books about books because they're just a delight. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up or comment down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, or any books again that you would like me to read or want to share that are about books. Feel free to hit subscribe or share this video or others like it to friends you think might enjoy it. If you'd like to support me further on this video channel or my blog, feel free to do so through my wish list or my coffee links listed in the description below. I hope you all have a great day and happy reading.